Alright, so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at all the new iPhone 13s that just dropped, and I'm going to be helping you decide which one's the one that's right for you. I was able to pick up 3 of the new iPhones. We got the mini, then the normal one, and then the Pro Max. And we're going to be going through each one of them in size order to determine which one's the right for you. As I go through each one of these phones, I'm going to talk about what makes each one of them unique and who it might be best suited for. Okay, let's start with this. This is the iPhone 13 mini, and it is small, it's nimble, it's really beautiful. Now this iPhone 13 mini really feels like the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5 was one of my favorite iPhone form factors because it was that perfect middle ground, not too small, not too big, Goldilocks size. It's got a little bit of a nostalgia factor to it. Now granted, my early 20s when I had an iPhone 5 wasn't the best time in my life, so I don't know if that's good or bad that this reminds me of it. It's got the exact same specs as a 13 except for the smaller screen and smaller battery life. But Apple always is very good with battery life, and I've been testing this phone all day and the battery life has held up amazing. And as I mentioned, this is not inferior to the normal 13 in any way except for the smaller size. So it has the exact same camera, it has the exact same chip, so you're gonna get a really good bang for your buck performance out of this. So who is this iPhone 13 mini for? I think it's mainly for 2 people. One is someone who's really looking for this small size, and I'm actually really happy that Apple is embracing smaller phones as well. The other group of people that I think could really benefit from having iPhone 13 mini is people on a budget. If you are into small phones, I think this is a no-brainer because there isn't any other small phone on the market that is going to be just as capable. All right, so with that being said, let's transition from the mini to the normal iPhone 13. So if I hold them up together from the bottom here, the mini is quite a bit smaller than the normal size one. For this comparison, I want to compare the iPhone 13 to last year's iPhone 12. Now, Apple, during their presentations, they always talk about all of the new improvements to the new iPhone from the old one, and they make it sound like there's such a huge improvement.
2.5 hours longer than iPhone 12. Create our most advanced dual camera system. It's 28% brighter, 30% faster graphics.
But I kind of want to just put these 2 phones side by side and tell you in just human language what the real improvements are, and there are just a few. Now for the first one, the notch is smaller. This guy has a 20% smaller notch than this old one, but honestly, you don't get that much for the real estate. It's not like they give you any more information. You still see the exact same icons up at the top. It's just, they just have a bit more room around them. The screen itself is brighter, so the stats say this can go up to 800 nits and this only goes up to 600. If I do crank up the brightness, the iPhone 13 is just that, like, 10% brighter. Now the cameras are supposed to be improved. All right, so what I've done here is I've taken one of these footages from the iPhone 12 and the other is from the iPhone 13, and see if you can spot which one is which. Got a cool kid here going around Lincoln Center. And then we got 2 photos here of the cityscape and the sunset. Got a portrait shot of me in the golden hour light. And then finally, we have night mode taken from the ultra wide. Can you tell which is which? All right, time for the big reveal. The iPhone 12 was on the left and the 13 was on the right. Were you able to guess correctly which one was which? And then finally, Apple always talks about the improved battery life. Again, this was never a complaint that I had. The battery life on the 12 was already pretty incredible, so it's good to hear that it's even better on the 13. Now, all that being said, the reason why I picked this one up is because I think this is the best phone for 90% of people out there. It's that right balance between features and budget. Honestly, this is kind of like a Toyota Camry of cell phones. It will do everything you need it to with no drama, very consistently, but it's nothing really to write home about. It's not super exciting, but for most people, this is the phone to get. I think it's an amazing value package. The new cameras are incredible. The screen is nice and bright now. The notch is smaller. There are a lot of small quality of life improvements from the 12 that make this a fun, a cute, attractive offer. So yeah, for the average person, this is the perfect phone. But we don't want to be average. For so much of our lives, we were told that we should be special, not average. And if you want to feel special, then I have the phone for you. And that's going to be the iPhone 13 Pro. To start, they are the exact same size, and the two biggest differences that I saw were in the screen, because the new 13 Pros, they have the Pro Motion display that goes up to 120 Hertz, and it does have that newer camera. That camera can do all the things that 13 cameras can, including cinema mode, but also telephoto, which is going to be longer range, up to 3 times now, and macro. In my day-to-day, I don't know how often I would use it. That's not why we get the iPhone 13 Pro. We get the iPhone 13 Pro because it is an emotional choice. Because you see, the price difference between the normal 13 and the 13 Pro is $200. And for $200, I think what you're really doing is paying to stroke your ego. Because when I see my friends who have the Pro model phones, it's the ones who are always telling themselves that if they don't have the best, it's not good enough. Because I think what the problem with the 13 is that, as I mentioned, it's not super exciting. But when you get the Pro model, there's something about having the 3 cameras. There's something about the super shiny edges that makes you feel like this phone is more special somehow. And so if they have to carry around this 13 between the smooth back and the aluminum bezels, doesn't feel as special, then every time they pick up their phone multiple times every day, they're just gonna think in the back of their minds, man, there are people out there that have a better phone than I do. And so for those people, for the people who want the best, you're not buying phones for what they can do. You're buying it because it's an emotional purchase. It's a status symbol. And I love this new 13 Pro color. It's beautiful, and holding it makes you feel kind of special. I don't know what it is. So that's the 13 Pro. It's just as good as a 13, except if you want to pay $200 to make yourself feel special, you know who you are, there's no problem with it. 13 Pro is the phone for you. If I didn't have to worry about my budget, yeah, I totally get the 13 Pro. All right, finally, let's talk about the 13 Pro Max. And my God, this guy is huge. This is next to a normal 13. This year, there's only a size increase. Bigger size, bigger battery, that's it. This phone is for huge people. I was at the store picking this up, and I was talking to this guy who looked like he could be a basketball player, and he was like, I have to get the biggest one because like all the other ones feel tiny to me. So if you're a big person, this might be the phone for you. This is also a very niche phone just from the fact that it's just way too big for most people. Okay, so after talking about the mini, the normal iPhone 13, and the Pro Max, which one am I going to be keeping for this upcoming year? And the answer is this one. I'm going to be sticking with my iPhone 12 for this year. And let me tell you why. You don't need any of these phones. If you have an iPhone that has Face ID, you can definitely skip the iPhone 13. Because honestly, the jump in improvements among all of the 13s from the 12, it's just not enough to justify it for me. Because here's the thing, this is actually why I really like Apple. They support old devices for a really long time. They're supporting still, I think, the iPhone 6s, which came out like 5-6 years ago. That's incredible. And with each software update, it makes it easier for you to be able to use your older phones. And we've come to a point in smartphone maturity where smartphones have gotten so good, you don't have to upgrade every year. Now we've really hit quite a plateau. So when you upgrade, it's rarely because you need to upgrade, but it's only because you want to. Because here's what I think Apple also does super well. They're the single company that makes it feel like Christmas every year so consistently. It's a real experience waiting for these phones, going to the store, picking them up. When you come home, you unwrap it, you take it out, and everything is so packaged beautifully that it's a fun roller coaster ride, and it really feels like you're opening presents up on Christmas. And that's why we keep buying these phones, that we want to see what Apple's doing, how it's gonna make us feel special. It was really fun for me to pick these up from the store because I got to relive a little bit of that magic. And so that's what I think is so compelling about Apple making you want to buy their products. But this year, it's just an iterative year. That's my conclusion. For 90% of you out there, if you have an existing iPhone and it's working fine, just hang on to it for one more year. If you do need to get a new phone, iPhone 13. This is the best bet for for most of you out there. If you have small hands or you like the smaller form factor, then get the mini. If you want something that's shiny and makes you feel special, go get the 13 Pro or even the Pro Max. And so there you have it. That's my iPhone lineup. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, if you're debating whether or not which phone you want to get. I respond to all my comments and I really like hearing from you. Yeah, and if you found any part of this video informative, I really appreciate it if you gave me a thumbs up. Okay, cool. That is all I got for today. Thanks again so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.